Jinna Park's day began like any other at Outpost Epsilon. The small research station orbited the gas giant Kepler 7b, just within Earth Alliance territory. As the station's lead xenobiologist, she spent her mornings analyzing soil samples from nearby moons, searching for microbial life that could survive in extreme conditions. That morning, she noticed something odd about her latest readings. The bacterial samples were showing unusual growth patterns, almost as if they were responding to something. She made a note in her log and continued working, unaware that her discovery would soon put her in terrible danger. The station's alert system blared to life at exactly 14:37 Earth Standard Time. Jinna looked up from her microscope, startled by the flashing red lights. "Unidentified vessel approaching," announced the automated system. "Breach protocols activated." She rushed to the communications panel, fingers flying across the controls. "Outpost Epsilon to approaching vessel. Please, identify yourself and state your intentions." Nothing but static answered her call. Through the observation window, Jinna spotted the ship, sleek, dark, and unlike any Earth Alliance design she'd seen before. Its hull seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. A cold feeling settled in her stomach. The Vorn. Stories about them circulated among border stations, an aggressive species from beyond the Kuiper Belt, known for their advanced technology and complete disregard for galactic treaties. Jinna hit the emergency beacon, sending a distress signal toward Earth. "This is Outpost Epsilon. We have a hostile approach, requesting immediate..." The station shuddered violently, throwing her against the wall. The lights flickered and died, plunging the lab into darkness. Emergency power kicked in moments later, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. Heavy footsteps echoed through the corridor outside. Jinna grabbed a sample container and slipped it into her pocket, evidence of her discovery. She crawled beneath her desk, trying to control her breathing as the lab door slid open with a mechanical hiss. 3 figures entered. Their bodies were humanoid, but taller and thinner than average humans. Their skin had a bluish-gray tone that seemed to shift with the light. Most disturbing were their eyes, completely black except for tiny pinpricks of white light at the center. "Life signs indicate a human female," one of them said, voice oddly flat and mechanical. "Locate and secure." Jinna pressed herself further into the shadows, but it was no use. A beam of light swept across the floor and stopped directly on her hiding spot. "Target acquired." Rough hands dragged her out. Jinna fought back, landing a solid kick on one Vorn's knee joint. It made an unpleasant cracking sound, but the creature hardly flinched. "The human displays resistance," it noted calmly, as if discussing the weather. "Apply restraints." Cold metal closed around Jinna's wrists. She opened her mouth to scream, but something cold pressed against her neck, and darkness swept over her. When Jinna regained consciousness, the familiar surroundings of her research station were gone. She lay on a hard surface in a dimly lit room with smooth metallic walls. The air smelled wrong, too clean, with an underlying chemical scent that made her head pound. A door she hadn't noticed before slid open. 2 Vorn entered, followed by a third wearing elaborate armor with glowing blue lines running through it. Clearly someone of higher rank. "You will provide the defense codes," the leader stated without introduction. Jinna blinked in confusion. "What codes? I'm a researcher. I don't have access to military information." The leader's head tilted slightly. "Our intelligence indicates you possess knowledge of Earth's planetary shield network." "That's impossible," Jinna replied, trying to keep her voice steady despite her fear. "I study bacteria. I've never worked on defense systems." The Vorn leader stepped closer. "Humans often lie when frightened. We have methods to verify truth. On Earth, the emergency beacon from Outpost Epsilon had been received. Security footage showing Jinna's abduction played on screens in Earth Command's crisis room. General Han slammed his fist on the table. "The Vorn thinks she has access to our defense network?" he demanded. "It appears so, sir," responded Lieutenant Su. "But she doesn't. She's purely research division." "They won't believe that," General Han said grimly. "And when they realize she truly doesn't know anything, The room fell silent as everyone understood the implication. We've tracked their ship. To the Vega system, Lieutenant Sue continued. They've taken her to a hidden facility on one of the moons. General Han's face hardened with resolve. Contact Unit 7. Tell them to prepare for immediate deployment. Meanwhile, Jenna tried to stay strong as days passed in her cell. The Vorn questioned her repeatedly about defense codes she didn't have. Each time she couldn't provide answers, her treatment worsened. Food became scarce, sleep impossible under the constant glaring lights. She didn't know that light years away, 5 of Earth's most elite soldiers were being briefed on a rescue mission that would shake the foundations of galactic politics. As Jenna huddled in her cell, trying to preserve her strength and sanity, Earth's super soldiers were coming for her, and the Vorn had no idea what they were about to face. The mood in Earth Command's crisis room was tense. Officers moved. With purpose, voices kept low as they passed information to one another. On the main screen, a grainy image showed a moon orbiting a distant planet. Hidden among its rocky craters sat a structure that didn't belong there, the Vorn facility. We've confirmed it, said Lieutenant Sue, pointing to heat signatures on the display. Our deep space probes picked up the energy readings 3 hours ago. They're not trying very hard to hide. General Han studied the image, his weathered face revealing nothing of the storm of emotions beneath. After 30 years of military service, he'd learned to keep his feelings locked away. But the thought of Gina Park, a civilian scientist, who'd never signed up for combat, enduring Vorn interrogation techniques made his jaw clench. Any response to our diplomatic channels? He asked, though he already knew the answer. None, sir, replied Communications Officer Lee. We've sent 17 messages on all frequencies. The Vorn are ignoring us completely. The general nodded slowly. This was exactly what he'd expected. The Vorn weren't known for diplomacy. They took what they wanted and disappeared back into the depths of space. What made this situation unusual? Was their mistake? Gina Park truly didn't have the information they sought. How long can she last? Asked Colonel Yoon, voicing the question everyone was thinking. Dr. Min, the chief medical officer, stepped forward. Based on previous encounters with Vorn prisoners, 3 more days at most. Their methods are... He stopped, unwilling to describe the details in front of the room. General Han turned away from the screen. I want options, real ones. Sir, began Strategic Officer Park, we could send a standard rescue team, but the facility is heavily guarded. Casualty projections are extremely high. Not acceptable, Han replied immediately. A heavy silence fell over the room. Everyone knew what the general was considering, but no one wanted to be the first to suggest it. Finally, Colonel Yoon spoke. Sir, there is Unit 7. The tension in the room doubled instantly. Unit 7 was classified beyond top secret. Most people in the room had only heard rumors. Enhanced soldiers, experimental technologies, capabilities that stretch the definition of human. General Han's eyes narrowed. Unit 7 has never been deployed in foreign territory. The diplomatic fallout if discovered. With respect, sir, Colonel Yoon continued. If the Vorn learn we have a scientist who genuinely doesn't know our defense codes, they'll kill her and move on to another target. Next time, they might grab someone who actually has access. Han walked to the window overlooking Earth's gleaming capital city below. Millions of people lived their lives in peace, unaware of the threats that lurked beyond their atmosphere. Threats his command worked tirelessly to keep at bay. Get me a secure line to Unit 7's commander, he said finally. Everyone else out. The room emptied quickly. Han waited until the door sealed shut before entering his authorization code into the terminal. The screen flickered, then showed a plain room with a single figure sitting at attention. Captain Tay, leader of Unit 7. General, Tay acknowledged with a slight nod. His face betrayed no emotion, but his eyes were alert, intelligent. Captain, I have a situation. Han transferred the files to Tai's terminal. Civilian scientist captured by Vorn forces, being held at these coordinates. Tay reviewed the information with impossible speed, absorbing details that would take others hours to process. The scientist has no military value. None. The Vorn believes she has defense codes. She doesn't. Then they will eventually terminate her, Tay stated matter-of-factly. Yes, we need extraction before that happens. Tay's eyes met the general's through the screen. This would be Unit 7's first deployment against the Vorn. It will reveal capabilities we've kept hidden. I'm aware of the risk, Han replied, but we can't abandon our people and standard forces would fail. For a moment, something like a smile touched Tay's lips. My team has been training for 3 years, General. We're ready. Han nodded. There's something else you should know. The Security Council is divided on this. Half believe we should prioritize, keeping Unit 7 secret over rescuing one scientist. And you, sir? I believe some lines must never be crossed, Han answered. We don't sacrifice our people, not ever. Understood, sir. When do we deploy? Immediately. Full briefing en route. You'll have our newest stealth transport. Get in. Find Jinnah Park. Get out. Minimal engagement if possible. And if not possible, Han's expression hardened. Then show the Vorn exactly why they should never have crossed into our territory. The connection ended, and Han stood alone in the darkened room, hoping he'd made the right decision. Using Unit 7 meant revealing Earth's most closely guarded secret. Soldiers enhanced beyond normal human limits trained to accomplish the impossible. If the mission succeeded, it would save Jinnah's life. If it failed, it would expose Earth's advanced capabilities while gaining nothing. Across the base, 5 soldiers prepared for deployment. Unlike regular troops, they moved with uncanny precision. Their bodies perfectly balanced, their movements economical. Each had volunteered years ago for the experimental procedures that had changed them forever. Captain Tay addressed his team as they checked their specialized equipment. Our mission is extraction of a civilian scientist from Vorn captivity. High risk, maximum stealth required. The Vorn don't take prisoners often, noted Sung, the team's medic. The subject's condition will be poor. Then we'll move quickly, Tay replied. The transport leaves in 30 minutes. Study the facility schematics. Know every entrance, exit, and possible holding location. As Earth's most elite soldiers prepared for the most dangerous mission of their lives, Jinnah Park huddled in her cell, unaware that help was coming. All she knew was that she couldn't hold out much longer against her captors' increasingly brutal methods. With each passing hour, her hope dimmed, but she refused to break. Whatever happened, she would face it with the courage that had brought her to the stars in the first place. The stealth transport Nighthawk cut silently through space, its advanced cloaking system rendering it invisible to conventional sensors. Inside, Unit 7 made final preparations. The ship's hold was eerily quiet. None of the usual pre-mission chatter or nervous energy typical of standard military units. These soldiers operated differently. Captain Tay studied the holographic display of the Vorn facility one last time. The asteroid field surrounding the moon will provide additional cover for our approach, he noted. His voice was calm, almost detached, but his mind was processing thousands of variables simultaneously. Thermal scans show 23 Vorn life signs, said Jun, the team's tech specialist. His fingers danced over his tablet, each movement precise. Most concentrated here and here. He pointed to 2 sections of the facility. And the human signature? Asked Tay. Jun zoomed in on a lower level. Faint but present. Section E7. Consistent with human physiology under stress. Medic Sung looked up from preparing his kit. They've been interrogating her for 5 days. She'll be severely dehydrated, possibly suffering from sleep deprivation and physical trauma. Can she be moved? Tay asked. I'll stabilize her on site, Sung replied. I've brought specialized compounds that should counteract Vorn interrogation drugs. The ship's pilot, not part of Unit 7, spoke over the intercom. 5 minutes to drop zone. Passing through asteroid field now. Hyun, the team's weapons specialist, finished checking his modular assault rifle. Unlike standard military equipment, the weapon was lightweight, silent, and capable of adapting to various combat scenarios with minimal adjustment. Rules of engagement? He asked. Stealth is priority, Tay answered. Engage only when necessary. Non-lethal until we secure the package. After that, situation dependent. The fifth team member, Min, hadn't spoken yet. As the infiltration expert, he was mentally preparing for the complex entry patterns ahead. His augmented nervous system allowed him to move in ways that defied normal human limitations, perfect for navigating the tight spaces and security systems they would encounter. Final comms check, Tay ordered, and each team member activated their neural link, a sophisticated communication system integrated with their enhanced biology. Unlike radio transmissions, these signals couldn't be intercepted by standard Vorn technology. All systems operational, Jun confirmed through the link. The sensation was like hearing a thought that wasn't your own. Strange for outsiders, but second nature to Unit 7. Approaching drop point, announced the pilot. Good hunting. The rear hatch opened to reveal the barren surface of the moon. No atmosphere, just gray dust and jagged rocks stretching to a horizon too close to be natural. In the distance loomed the Vorn facility, a dark structure blending with the lunar landscape. The team moved out in perfect formation, using small thruster packs to control their descent in the low gravity. Their specialized suits, a marvel of Earth engineering, regulated temperature, provided oxygen, and most importantly, contained technology that scattered sensor readings. To Vorn detectors, they would appear as nothing more than occasional bursts of cosmic radiation. As they approached the facility's outer perimeter, Min took the lead, scanning for entry points. Southeast maintenance hatch shows minimal security, he reported through the neural link. Appears to be an emergency system backdoor. Too obvious, Tay responded. Likely monitored or trapped. Min nodded slightly. Agreed. Thermal venting system 200 meters east offers better access. Narrow, but workable. The team changed course, moving like shadows across the lunar surface. When they reached the thermal vent, a narrow opening barely visible against the dark structure, Min produced a small device that interfaced with the external controls. System cycling in 30 seconds, he reported. When the vent opens to release heat, we'll have 12 seconds to enter before it seals again. The team positioned themselves, their enhanced muscles tensed for precisely timed movement. When the vent's cover slid open with a silent rush of escaping heat, they moved as one. 5 figures slipping into the narrow shaft with fluid grace impossible for unenhanced humans. Inside, they navigated the tight space with practiced ease, their bodies twisting to accommodate angles that would stop an ordinary soldier. The shaft eventually opened into a maintenance corridor, dimly lit with the bluish light the Vorn preferred. 2 guards approaching, Hyun alerted, his enhanced hearing picking up footsteps long before they became audible to normal senses. Without verbal communication, the team pressed against the walls, their suits shifting color to match the surroundings. 2 Vorn guards passed by, their tall frames moving with the distinctive gliding motion of their species. Neither noticed the Earth soldiers mere meters away. Once clear, the team continued deeper into the facility. Jun accessed a data terminal, his mind interfacing directly with the alien technology through specialized implants. I have the captive locations, he reported. 3 holding cells in use. Only 1 contains human life signs. And the others? Tay inquired. Unknown species. Not our mission. Tay hesitated only briefly. Mark their locations. If extraction allows, we'll consider additional rescue. The team moved through the facility like ghosts, using ventilation systems and maintenance tunnels to avoid contact. When confrontation became unavoidable, a lone guard or technician crossing their path, they struck with supernatural speed, rendering targets unconscious before they could trigger alarms. As they descended to the lower levels where Jinnah was held, the environment changed. The corridors became narrower, the lighting harsher. Signs of the facility's true purpose emerged. Laboratory equipment, monitoring stations, instruments whose functions the soldiers could only guess at. Detention level security is higher, Jun warned. Automated systems, bioscanners. Can you bypass? Asked Tay temporarily. The system resets every 40 seconds. The team paused at the final security door. Beyond it lay their target, but also the greatest concentration of Vorn life signs. 3 guards in the immediate area, Hyun reported. One appears to be a higher rank. Medical scan shows the human's vitals are weakening, Sung added urgently. We need to move now. Tae made his decision. Jun, trigger a system diagnostic in the upper levels. Hyun, prepare non-lethal takedown. Min, find us an exit route that avoids the main corridors. Move on my mark. As alarms began blaring in distant parts of the facility, Jun's diversion working perfectly, the team breached the detention level. The 3 Vorn guards reacted with surprise, but not quickly enough. Hyun's modified weapon discharged 3 precisely aimed stun projectiles, dropping the aliens before they could call for help. The cell door required a biological key, a Vorn handprint. Min dragged one of the unconscious guards to the panel, pressing the alien's palm against the surface. The door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside, Jinnah Park lay on a hard table, connected to various monitoring devices. Her eyes were sunken, her skin pale, but a spark of defiance remained in her gaze as she turned toward the door. "Earth Command?" she whispered. Her voice cracked from screaming. "Unit 7. Tae replied simply, as Sung rushed to her side, already assessing her condition. "We're taking you home." For the first time in days, hope flickered across Jinnah's face. But their escape had only just begun, and the Vorn were already aware that something was wrong in their facility. The most dangerous part of the mission still lay ahead. Sung worked, with incredible speed, disconnecting Jinnah from the Vorn, monitoring equipment. His enhanced vision allowed him to see beneath her skin, the damage to her tissues, the dangerous levels of foreign chemicals in her bloodstream. "Can you walk?" he asked, already preparing a specialized injection. Jinnah tried to sit up, her body trembling with the effort. "I think so." "This will help," Sung said, pressing the injector against her neck. The nanomedicine spread instantly through her system, targeting pain receptors and providing temporary strength. Jinnah gasped as the drug took effect. "What was that?" "Better if you don't know," Tae said, helping her to her feet. "We have approximately 6 minutes before our diversion is discovered." Jun's voice came through the neural link. "Captain, we have a problem. Security protocols are changing. They're initiating a facility-wide lockdown." "They know we're here," Tae told the others aloud, for Jinnah's benefit. "Min, what's our exit strategy?" Min projected a small holographic map from his wrist device. "Service tunnel leads to an emergency airlock, 300 meters, minimal resistance if we move now." Jinnah stared at the small hologram with wide eyes. "That technology, it's not standard Earth military." "Later," Tae said firmly. "Hyun, take point. Sung, stay with the package. Jun, disrupt their communications." They moved into the corridor. Jinnah supported between Sung and Tae. Though the nanomedicine gave her strength, her body was still recovering from days of torture. Each step was a battle against the urge to collapse. "There were others," she whispered as they moved. 2 other cells, non-humans. Tae nodded. "We know. We can't leave them." The captain's expression didn't change, but something flickered in his eyes. "Our mission is your extraction. Please," Jinnah insisted, her voice stronger than it had any right to be. "They're scientists, like me. Different species, but they were taken for the same reason." Tae's enhanced mind calculated rapidly. Time frames, risk factors, mission parameters. General Han's words echoed. "Some lines must never be crossed. We don't sacrifice people." "Jun, Min, release the other prisoners. Meet at the extraction point. In 4 minutes." The 2 soldiers peeled off without question, disappearing down a side corridor. Hyun led the remaining group toward the service tunnels, his weapon ready. They made it 50 meters before the first alarm sounded, a deep, pulsing tone that seemed to vibrate through the walls themselves. "They've discovered the empty cells," Tae said. "Hyun?" The weapons specialist checked the corridor ahead. "Movement. Multiple hostiles converging on our position." Jinnah's momentary strength began to fade. "I'm slowing you down." Without hesitation, Tay lifted her into his arms. To Jinna's surprise, he carried her as if she weighed nothing at all. Unit 7 doesn't leave anyone behind. The first Vorn soldiers appeared at the far end of the corridor, tall gray figures with weapons that glowed with eerie blue light. Hyun stepped forward, his rifle reconfiguring in his hands. "Go," he told Tay and Sung. "I'll hold them here." "You can't fight them all," Jinna protested. A small smile touched Hyun's lips. "Watch me." As Tay and Sung carried Jinna toward the service tunnel, she glimpsed what happened next. Hyun moved with impossible speed, firing with precision that no human should possess. 3 Vorn fell instantly. When they returned fire, Hyun was already elsewhere, his body twisting in ways that defied normal human limitations. Inside the service tunnel, the lighting was minimal, just enough for Jinna to see the determination on her rescuers' faces. "What are you?" she whispered to Tay. "Earth's answer to threats like the Vorn," he replied simply. They reached a junction where the tunnel split in 3 directions. Sung checked Jinna's vitals with a small device. "Nanomeds are holding, but she needs real medical attention soon." "The extraction point is just ahead," Tay said. A massive explosion shook the tunnel, sending dust cascading from the ceiling. The neural link flared with June's voice. "Captain, they've deployed heavy weapons. The main exits are sealed. Status on the prisoners?" Tay inquired. "Secured. 2 non-terrestrial scientists, both mobile and Min." A pause. "Injured, but functional. We're proceeding to alternate extraction point B." The tunnel shook again, more violently, this time. Part of the ceiling collapsed behind them, blocking their retreat. "They're trying to trap us," Sung observed. Jinna looked between them. "Is there another way out?" "Always," Tay replied, though his tone lacked its usual certainty. They pressed forward until reaching a sealed door marked with Vorn symbols. Tay's enhanced vision translated automatically. "Airlock chamber." "Jun, we need override codes for the East Service airlock." Tay sent through the link. "Working on it. Be advised, Captain. Long-range sensors detect Vorn reinforcements approaching the facility. Estimated arrival 8 minutes. Tay's face remained impassive, but Jinna could sense his concern. "Can your ship get here before then?" "The Nighthawk is on standby, but needs a clear extraction zone," he answered, helping her sit against the wall while Sung worked on bypassing the airlock controls. The tunnel rumbled again. This time the lights flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. Emergency lighting activated moments later, bathing everything in an eerie red glow. "They're cutting power systematically," Sung noted, "trying to flush us out." A new sound reached them, footsteps, heavy and purposeful, approaching from the direction they'd come. Too many to fight. Tay positioned himself between Jinna and the approaching threat, while Sung continued working on the door. Around the corner stepped a Vorn unlike any Jinna had seen during her captivity. Taller than the others, with armor that seemed to shift colors with each movement. Behind him stood at least a dozen soldiers, weapons trained on the humans. "I am Commander Rule," the Vorn leader announced in perfect, unaccented English. "You have something that belongs to me." "She belongs to no one," Tay replied, his stance relaxed yet ready. Rule's black eyes fixed on Jinna. "The human female is a spy. She will answer for her crimes." "She's a scientist with no military access," Tay countered. "Your intelligence is flawed." The Vorn commander made a sound, something between a hiss and a laugh. "Earth sends its monsters to rescue one insignificant female. How interesting." Jinna watched in horror as Rule raised his weapon, not at Tay, but at her. "Perhaps we should see how fast your enhancements truly are." What happened next occurred so quickly that Jinna's human perception could barely process it. Tay moved like liquid lightning, his body crossing the space between them and Rule in a fraction of a second. The Vorn weapon discharged, but Tay wasn't where he had been. Instead, he was behind Rule, arm locked around the alien's throat. The Vorn soldiers opened fire, but Sung had moved as well, his body placing itself between the attackers and Jinna. Bullets struck him multiple times, but instead of falling, his skin seemed to ripple and heal before Jinna's eyes. "The airlock!" Sung shouted as he returned fire with devastating accuracy. The door behind them hissed open. June's override codes had worked. Tay snapped the Vorn commander's weapon arm with a twist that should have been impossible for human joints to execute, then threw the alien bodily into his own soldiers. "Move!" he ordered, pulling Jinna toward the airlock. As they retreated into the chamber, Jinna caught a final glimpse of the confrontation. The Vorn were regrouping, but their movements seemed sluggish compared to the Earth soldiers. For the first time, she saw fear in their alien eyes. The airlock door sealed shut behind them. Through the small window, Jinna watched as Sung continued to fight, one enhanced human against a dozen Vorn, moving with such speed and precision that he seemed more like a force of nature than a man. "Will he make it?" she asked. Tay's expression remained unreadable as he activated the airlock cycle. Sung has survived worse. As the outer door began to open, revealing the barren lunar landscape beyond, Tay received a new message through the neural link. "Nighthawk inbound. 60 seconds to extraction point. What about the others?" Jinna asked, struggling to stay conscious as fatigue overwhelmed the nanomedicine. "They'll make it," Tay assured her, though uncertainty flickered across his face for the first time. "Unit 7 always completes the mission." The outer door finished cycling open and Tay lifted Jinna once more. Beyond the facility, the stars shone with cold brilliance against the black void of space. Somewhere among them was Earth, home. "Let's get you back where you belong," Tay said, and stepped out onto the lunar surface. The military hospital room was quiet except for the gentle hum of monitoring equipment. Jinna sat up in bed, looking out the window at Earth's blue sky, a sight she had feared she might never see again. 3 weeks had passed since her rescue from the Vorn facility, but the memories remained vivid. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. The door opened to reveal General Han, his uniform crisp and formal. "Ms. Park," he greeted her. "The doctors tell me you're recovering well." Jinna nodded. Physically, yes. She didn't need to explain the nightmares that still haunted her sleep. The general took a seat beside her bed. Unlike previous visits, he carried no tablets or reports, just a small box tucked under his arm. "The information you gathered about the Vorn facility has proven invaluable," he said. "Their interrogation methods, technology, communication patterns, all of it helps us prepare for future encounters." Jinna looked down at her hands. The marks where restraints had cut into her wrists were fading but still visible. "I didn't exactly gather that information willingly." "No," Han acknowledged. "But you survived. You resisted. Many wouldn't have." Silence fell between them, the kind that forms when both parties have questions they're not sure how to ask. "The soldiers who rescued me," Jinna finally said. "They weren't normal." Han's expression remained neutral. "Unit 7 is classified, beyond top secret. I saw one of them get shot multiple times. He kept fighting as if nothing happened." She met the general's eyes directly. "What are they?" Han seemed to weigh his response carefully. "Volunteers. The best Earth has. Enhanced through methods I'm not at liberty to discuss. They saved more than just me," Jinna continued. 2 alien scientists were also being held. They risked the mission to rescue them too." A small smile touched Han's lips. "Captain Tay made that call. It wasn't in his orders." "Where are they now?" "The alien scientists? Being treated, then they'll be returned to their homeworlds. Their governments are quite grateful." Han placed the small box on the bedside table. "Which brings me to this." Jinna looked at it curiously. "What is it?" "Open it." Inside was a simple medal, a silver star on a blue ribbon. Jinna recognized it as the Civilian Service Cross, Earth's highest honor for non-military personnel. "There will be no ceremony," Han explained. "No public recognition. What happened on that moon must remain classified, but those of us who know wanted you to have this." Jinna touched the medal lightly. "I didn't do anything heroic. You survived. You protected information you didn't even have, and your request to save the other prisoners. Han paused. That decision has had far-reaching consequences. He stood and walked to the window. The two species those scientists belong to have opened diplomatic channels with Earth. They were impressed that we would risk our people to save non-humans. It was the right thing to do, Gina said simply. Han nodded. Yes, and sometimes doing the right thing changes everything. Another knock at the door announced a nurse. Ms. Park has therapy in 15 minutes, General. Of course. Han moved toward the door but stopped. Oh, and you have some visitors waiting. I told them they could see you after therapy if you're feeling up to it. Gina's therapy session passed in a blur of physical exercises and psychological evaluations. The doctors were pleased with her progress, though they cautioned that full recovery, especially from the psychological trauma, would take time. When she returned to her room, she was surprised to find 5 people waiting. Though they wore civilian clothes, Gina instantly recognized them. Unit 7. Captain Tay stood near the window, his posture military straight despite the casual attire. Sung, the medic who had carried her through the Vorn facility, sat reading a medical chart. Her chart, she realized. Jun and Min sat playing some kind of holographic game on a small projector, while Hyun leaned against the wall, watching the door. They all looked so normal. Without their tactical gear and the high-stress environment of the rescue, they could have been any group of friends visiting a hospital patient. This is unexpected, Gina said as she entered. Tay stepped forward. We wanted to check on your recovery. Against protocol, I imagine, Gina replied with a small smile. Completely, Sung confirmed cheerfully. We're supposed to have no contact. With extraction subjects after mission completion, Jun looked up from the game. We've never broken protocol before. You've never rescued a civilian scientist from Vorn interrogation before, Gina pointed out. True, Min acknowledged. You're a first in many ways. Gina settled into a chair, studying them. In the sterile hospital light, she could see subtle differences that marked them as enhanced. Their movements were too precise, their stillness too complete. When Hyun shifted his weight, the motion was perfectly balanced in a way no ordinary human could achieve. I never properly thanked you, she said quietly. No thanks necessary, Tay replied. It's what we're designed for. Gina shook her head. No. You were designed for military objectives. Saving 3 scientists, 1 human, 2 alien. That was a choice. Your choice. Something passed between the 5 soldiers. A look, perhaps, or some silent communication through their neural links. The general tells me the alien scientists are recovering well, Gina continued, and that their governments have opened diplomatic channels with Earth as a result. Hyun actually smiled at that. So our first mission might have prevented future conflicts rather than escalated them. Ironic. Speaking of future, Gina said, what happens now? For all of us? Sung answered first. For you, complete recovery. The nanomedicine I administered has repaired most of the physical damage, but you'll need time for the psychological healing. And then? Then you go back to your research, Tay said. With better security this time. Gina thought about her tiny laboratory on Outpost Epsilon, the work she'd been doing before the abduction. It seemed like another lifetime. I'm not sure I can go back to studying bacterial samples after everything that's happened, she admitted. Jun tilted his head slightly. The general mentioned you've been offered a new position. Something about developing protective technologies? Jin nodded. A research division focused on defense against non-terrestrial threats. They want me to lead it. You should accept, Tay said. It wasn't a suggestion but a statement of fact. I'm considering it, Jenna replied. And what about Unit 7? What happens to you now that the Vorn know you exist? The soldiers exchanged glances again, some unspoken communication passing between them. We adapt, Tay answered simply. The element of surprise was useful, but not essential. Now we train for a galaxy that knows what Earth is capable of. Hyun pushed away from the wall. And we'll be ready if the Vorn try anything like this again. Jinna looked at each of them in turn, these strange enhanced humans who had risked everything to save her. Not quite human anymore, perhaps, but somehow more human than ever in the choices they had made. "Will I see you again?" she asked. Min smiled, a surprisingly warm expression on his usually serious face. "Probably not officially, but we have a habit of showing up when needed," Sung added. As they prepared to leave, Tay lingered behind for a moment. "The nightmares will fade," he said quietly. "Not completely, but enough. Trust me on this." Jinna realized he was speaking from experience. These soldiers had seen and done things she could barely imagine. Yet here they were, still fighting, still protecting. "Thank you," she said simply. "Not just for the rescue, for the reminder." Reminder? Jinna looked out at the blue sky of Earth, that even in the darkest places humanity finds a way to shine. After they left, Gina opened the small box containing her medal again. Alongside it, someone had placed a small communication device, untraceable, she suspected, and probably, against a dozen regulations, a direct line to Unit 7 if she ever needed them again. She smiled and closed the box. The galaxy had become a much larger and more dangerous place in her eyes, but somehow, knowing that Earth had protectors like Unit 7 made the vastness of space seem a little less frightening.